So we'll talk about resume writing. Excuse me. A couple things with your resume writing. Resume is a living document, so it's all constantly changing. So as your history and qualifications change, so does the resume. As you apply for different jobs, so does your resume. So it's always and constantly evolving. Things that a lot of people put in there, anything from education, experience, activities, honors. Sometimes they put in career goals in there as well. So what are some of the rules that you've heard? I know everybody's heard about resumes. You probably have a copy of a resume out there. But there's a couple things to keep in mind when you're doing your resume. Lengthwise, as an undergrad, I would say keep it to 1 page. But if you've had a lot of experience, a lot of jobs, then I would go. You can spill into the second page. If you go to grad school and complete grad school, then it's okay to go into that second page. But if you have an undergrad degree and not a lot of experience in jobs, I'd keep it to 1 page. Font-wise, don't go fancy. Don't go crazy on your fonts. Try to keep it with that Arial or Times New Roman, and keep it between 10 and 12. You don't want to go below 10 because it gets too hard for the person to read. The paper, it should be 8 by 12 or 8.5 by 11, and it should be 20-pound paper, which means it's a little bit thicker, a little bit nicer. A lot of times it's made out of cotton or a material like that, and it should be white, maybe off-white, but I wouldn't go too crazy again with your colors. One guideline, and you can see there, one guideline that's often think about the employer doesn't have a whole lot of time to look at your resume. They got about 10-15 seconds to look at it. So, have somebody take a look at your resume for that time, 10-15 seconds, and have them tell you what they remember from it. So what jumps out? Because that's what the hiring agent's going to do. Okay, and be concise. They don't want to do a whole lot of reading. Use bullet points, and we'll talk about that whenever you can. So your primary research, find out the general job information, what they're looking for, desired qualifications and skills, keywords they have, and then see how you can tweak your resume to meet their needs. And the same thing will apply to your cover letter. You have to sell yourself in that 10 to 15 seconds. So you want to make sure that you have the qualifications they're looking for, the general job information, that you have those skill sets that they're looking for. When you start putting together your resume, one of the things that you really want them to stand out is obviously your name, and so write out your full name, put in your address, and I would put as an undergrad, unless you actually live at your permanent address, have a permanent address and a local address. And you can see in these two examples, they have both of those, and they also have their name in a way that it sticks out, and also their email address, because another good way to get in contact with you. But I've had students go through and forget to put their phone number on there, forget to put their email. I've actually had employers call me and say, because they were listed as a reference, how can I get a hold of this person? We want to talk to this person, but all they put in there was their actual address, and they didn't give us any other contact information. So make sure you put that in there as well. And then their local, that's your current address, so your school address. Again, it's becoming less and less important, but it's still a way that they can get in touch with you and understand where you are. Legal name, and professional email. Again, be careful of your emails. I've had some off-the-wall emails listed there by students, and this is, again, your first impression with this potential employer. So do they really want to send an email to, Snuggy Bear or whatever random name that you have on there? So just make sure you have a professional email address. That brings us to the next part that oftentimes happens on a resume, and that's the objective. And the objective is an interesting one. And for me, I'll tell you this. I would not put an objective on there. because really your objective is going to change with every job that you do. And sometimes it trips you up. I've actually had people apply for positions here at Coastal, and literally had one that said, I want to work in the sport management department of Liberty University. I'm like, well, you're applying to Coastal, you have that on there. And what they did is they forgot to change it. And so that sometimes trips people up, and it shouldn't, as part of that living document, it should change with each job that you apply for. That should be your objective. But I just see it as a way to mess up. So I just don't even bother putting one on there, and I wouldn't suggest that you put one on there. But some people do. There's different ways of doing it. Sometimes, but just if you do put it on there, and sometimes that can help take up some space if your resume doesn't take up the whole page. You can make sure it's brief and to the point, and in detailed about the position and how you fit that position. You just have to decide what's best. And you can go with that brief to the point like that previous one, or you can go a little bit deeper and talk about how you are qualified for that particular position. So this is a couple examples to obtain an internship with Sporting KC, to get a full-time position as a park ranger, a summer internship in community relations. It helps if you spell relations right. And then the second approach is more descriptive, and so a summer internship in a sales marketing with NASCAR, where I can employ my team building skills, versatility to create new ideas. So you get the idea. You can go with that more descriptive one, that second approach, or you can go with that very brief one. Again, my suggestion is probably not do one, but if you need it to take up some of that space, then go ahead and go for it. Then we get into education, and all of you right now are working on your degree. It's a Bachelor of Science in Recreation and Sport Management. Make sure you get that right, or I correct that a lot when I review these resumes. You are getting a degree, a Bachelor of Science in Recreation and Sport Management. Okay, so make sure you have that in there. Coastal Carolina University. If you have a minor, you can include that in there. If you have your GPA is up above 3.0, definitely make sure to put that in there, and give a date of completion, when you expect to be done on there, and we can talk about the formatting here, but those are things that you want to include. I get questions about high school. Yeah, you can include high school until you graduate from college, or you include your community college until you graduate from your 4-year program, like from Coastal. Okay, and then again, put it in reverse chronological order, so whatever's most current, so that'd be Coastal Carolina, put that at the top, and then go to the next one. Same thing happens if you go and get a grad degree. You'll start with your master's degree, and then you'll hit your bachelor's from Coastal, and so forth, working your way down. So this gives you kind of an idea of what it should look like and different approaches to do it, making sure that you have the university correctly and the actual location. Again, when you put in Coastal Carolina, don't put in Myrtle Beach, put in Conway. Okay, and you can see the major, the year that expected to graduate, or the actual graduation date is at the top, and then their specialization or their major, and then if you have a minor, you can put that in there, and then their GPA. Both of these were up over 3.0, so you put it in there. Work experience. You want to put in your work experience. Then next is the next kind of area, and include all the positions you had, both paid and voluntary, until you get up there and get more paid positions. Keep those voluntary ones in there, but make sure you emphasize the experience that you get, and hit home with what skills that you developed while you were working at those particular sites. Okay, and notice all these are bullet points, and they start with action words. So if you're currently still doing it, like in this first case, you write it in present tense. If you're not doing it anymore, you write it in past tense. Okay, but all these bullets are started with action words, and that's what employers like to see. They like to see bullets, and they like to see action words when they're looking at resumes. So don't put a paragraph in there. People don't like to read paragraphs. Leave it with, quick, concise actions of what you did. Okay, again, some more examples there. Every time I talk to y'all, somebody wants to call. There's give you some list of different words that you can use to help you, and different action words that you can use, and quite a lot there that you can choose from. And so one of the things I'll ask you to do, and do this, on your own. Excuse me, get through all this stuff. Keep missing it. Dadgummit. All right, here we go. Exercise. Here's what I want you to do is kind of think about how you can phrase the task that you did, and make it sound kind of nicer than what it may have been. So swept floors and clean tables. Yeah, you probably had to do those tasks in some of your jobs, but another way to phrase it is created a positive and healthy atmosphere in the restaurant. Talk to customers. You gave quality customer service while promoting sale of a product. Those are nice ways of putting, common mundane tasks, but sounds really good to employers. So challenge yourself to think about ways that you can tweak those tasks that you do. I mean, be honest with what you did, but creative with the way that you say it. And then you can get into activities, honors, experience, and let the people know and give them time frame when you did them. The ultimate goal is to get an interview. So utilize that white space. You don't want to have a whole lot of white space out there. And like I said earlier, they're only going to take about 20 seconds to look at your resume. So make sure that you get their attention in that 20 seconds. Have somebody else look at it and see what sticks in their mind when they look at your resume. Okay, that'll finish up a little bit talk on resumes. Again, if you want, I'll give you some examples of resumes. You also can feel free to ask me any questions that you may have, but it gives you a basics of writing a resume. Going into cover letters next, so stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.